Now let's go more practical. What do you do as a manager coach? What are your tools? First, questions. We like questions to be open rather than closed, although sometimes you need to clarify something. Closed questions are perfectly fine. Try to avoid questions starting with why, because a lot of people will get defensive of why did you do that? You can learn the same thing, phrasing it in a different way. What was behind that, or how come? The second is sharing observations. You don't have to keep asking questions. You can observe, oh, you used that language, you used we rather than I, or I observed you smiled when you said that. What's that about? That can be very powerful. Really observing your employee and sharing those observations, it can help them get some more insight. Sharing your own sensation, that's incredibly powerful, because even though you can be across the world, you could be looking at a screen, your body will absorb their emotions, even if they are not aware of it, even if you're not aware of it. So usually when I coach someone, I'm 90% listening to them, and then 10% I'm just observing what's going on within me. And sometimes I will share, because there was an occasion that the coaching client was talking lightheartedly, but I was feeling like a knot in my chest, like a weird sensation. And I shared that. I said, I'm feeling like a knot in my chest. What's your experience? And they're like, oh, you're right. I'm really stressed. They hadn't realized how stressful this was for them. Just make sure, check your sensations and ask yourself, is it something coming from me? Maybe you have a problem and you're just stressed from your own issue, or it's coming because I'm absorbing through the screen, through the telephone, my employees' emotions. Silence is incredibly powerful, especially when you've asked a question that helps the employee think differently or think something they haven't thought before. Just bite your tongue. And it is a lot harder to do when you have voice-only coaching. Many times I'm in voice-only coaching and I hold the silence because I assume the coachee is thinking, but I have this fear of, has the line dropped maybe? I'm not hearing anything, and I'm just patient enough, and it can feel longer, this silence. But this is when the new neural connections are being made for your coachee or your employee. So harder to do on the phone, but incredibly powerful. Fifth is sharing hypotheses. Take that with a grain of salt. I would say 50% of the hypotheses I'm sharing are wrong. But I still share them because still they move the conversation along. I say, I have this crazy hypothesis. I could be totally wrong. Is this what's going on? Is this the situation? And they might say, no, it's not this, it's that. And that's perfectly fine, because that moved along the conversation. We got some clarity. So sharing hypotheses sparingly, but they can be very helpful. Sometimes you're accurate, but don't be wedded to them or attached to them. It's totally fine if you're wrong. And the sixth is disclosure or sharing information. Sometimes it's helpful to share that you've been through the same thing. But I have this last because you don't want to make the coaching session or the one-to-one about you when you're coaching your employee, when this is the goal of the conversation. So before you share something, oh, this happened to me and I did that, ask yourself, why am I sharing this? Is this going to be helpful for my employee? Or I'm sharing it because I have a need to share it. Sometimes we want to share things. So disclosure can be very helpful to build empathy, to build relationship. Check your motives. Why am I sharing this about me when this conversation is me coaching them?